Aloha, everyone. My name is Catherine, and I'm here to touch a little bit on the subject of the mother wound. What is the mother wound, and why it's so important to me, and why it should be so important to you? Well, first of all, the mother wound, it's a discomfort, it's a pain, it's a burden that it's passed from mother to daughter generationally. The mother wound, even though it's passed from female to female, it's not only affecting females, it also affects males from mother to son. What happens is that where is this pain coming from? So a lot of this pain comes from a personal relationship to your mother, but a lot of it comes from your relationship to the world. I believe that everything that is happening in the world right now is because we're all healing deeply this wound, this wounded mother. We have lived in a society that has been very patriarchal, putting a lot of attention in the empowering of the male. When we were little kids, most probably if you were a female, you were asked a lot, oh, how do you look, or how pretty you are. Like those were a lot of the unconscious messages, like how beautiful you look. And for the male was like, what are you doing? You know, living also a wounded self. Because most of the time, what you wanted to hear was like, how are you feeling, during your day, what is it that is resonating with you? So the mother wound, when we are little girls, and this video talks a lot to the women because we're doing a workshop on April 15th around the mother wound, and I want to take us there. When you're a little girl and you're starting to grow up and really come in touch with how powerful it is to be a woman, and then right away you're like shut down, suppressed, not only by family, but most importantly by society, your education system, the financial system, the government, religion, So you are given a choice, or you're empowered and you're gonna be a whore, pretty much, or a witch, or you keep it very much in the down low and you keep your relationship safe and you are kind and you're cute. On a personal level, I came to understand this most importantly when I became a mother, because I didn't want to be a mother, and part of the reason why I didn't want to be a mother is because I perceived the message when I was growing up was, if you are going to be a mother, your life is going to be over. Like, you are just going to not be empowered. I love this doctor that this research on the mother wound, and he also explains, which super on my subject, how the mother wound also affects your body on a physical and scientific level. After mothers give birth, we go through this like depletion in our bodies that needs to be restored, but our connection to our children is so big that children also go through the same. And when the mother wound is alive and present in your body, you also have depletion of minerals. So the work that we're gonna do on April 15, it's also gonna be like adding up this health to your cells so that you can also absorb and reintegrate the minerals in your body. But that's another subject. So going back to mother wound, the idea behind the healing of the mother wound, it's not to forget what happened to you. There's a lot of people that have been through abuse by their own mothers or fathers. So they come to me, it's like, how can I forget that? So remember, healing is not forgetting. Healing is working through something so that it doesn't have a grip on you anymore. So that these hurtful behaviors don't rule your life and what you're attracting on a daily basis. So that's the healing work. And a lot of the healing starts by recognizing first that the mother wound is a blessing in disguise. Pretty much, we came here to this world, we incarnated to see certain things, to recognize our love again. But to do that, every person needs a very personal curriculum. I believe personally that we chose our parents, we chose our mothers for the reason that they had the traits that we had to work on, that we had to be in touch with, so that we could remember who we were and our love and our potential. So, blessing in disguise, it is an opportunity for us to see certain things, and that's the workshop going to be focused on. The healing comes when we change the narrative from I am like this because my mother was like this and my grandmother went through this, to I want to forgive. I want to forgive my mother. I want to forgive my grandmother. I want to forgive myself through understanding. So we're going to go through a process, a journey where we actually come in touch with what was it like to be our mothers when they were pregnant with us, but also through different stages of childhood where you probably collected trauma that in a way became an agreement with yourself on how you were to see the world, how you were to see yourself, and how you were to relate to other women and to other people. For me personally, the journey has been so expansive and it continues being the same. When I started like going deeper into this subject, I started recognizing how much I had attracted, for example, like very, very powerful women relationships, especially the friends that I had like the strongest bonds in my teenage 20s, even like it goes through my 30s. I attracted women that were super strong and super loving, but it developed kind of like an obsessive behavior that wanted to be controlling with me. It was kind of like very difficult to see until things kind of like escalated. There would be jealousy, and then I started realizing like, wow, my mother is really, really powerful. Out of a loving action, she really wanted to control me and my sister. I'm sure I'm not the only one. And therefore, I perceived that as the goddess, because my mom is truly my goddess. I have a relationship with her that I adore her. And I was talking through this with other females. Out of my adoration with my mom, I always felt like I was responsible for her feelings. If she was feeling unease or sad, I had to fix it. I had to fix my mother, I have to fix her relationship, I have to fix my sister. And during my teenage years, I really kept it in control with myself, because I was like, I cannot give more trouble to my family, especially to my mother. She's going through so much. So I adopted this coping mechanism of being a fixer. I eventually, I started fixing my relationships, I was fixing my environment, I was fixing everything. And that was a coping mechanism that you could call codependency that I adopted from my family lineage. And just by looking at it, it's where the healing and the transformation comes about. I started getting messages from the divine feminine around, wow, okay, now your work is to let things be. Is to actually, for me, to stop chasing the things that I wanted, because I was in a very masculine position. Because also when you're a little girl, and again you have a choice, or to be empowered and again be the whore or the witch, or do it in a very masculine way, which is kind of like the Western way that we know. And so I was in a very masculine position of like, if I want something, I must go and get it. And I saw myself like running after my own tail like a little dog, fixing and doing and proving myself to the world. And it was cute, but it was very painful. So all these things are part of the mother wound, and what I want you to understand is that the mother wound reflects in everything, in how we attract, in how we repel things. So it is kind of like an exploratorium of where these traits are holding and are dictating your life. It is important to understand that forgiveness rules a big part of this healing. Also that yes, you should keep placing boundaries if you have abusive relationships with your mother. It is not about like opening the doors to your house when things are not going well. It is actually to develop an understanding, and actually for you to not keep repeating these patterns, or with yourself, or with other women, or with relationships that really want to come forward in your life, but you're like blocking them because you're still in this belief system that is not helping you. And actually, when you do this work, and I love that a friend told me, when you feel liberation, when you feel freedom, when you feel pleasure, you can send that to your ancestors. I think of my grandmothers who probably never even felt like pleasure having sex. So when I have sex and I'm feeling like pleasure of feeling myself and my partner, I send that to my lineage as well. We're gonna talk through a lot of things. People ask me a lot also, what are the ways then to work on this mother wound? Especially for women, it is to lean back into sisterhood, to trust again in yourself, but also in other females. You don't have to do it in a way that does not bring you comfort, but I do have to say that if you have a mother wound, probably you're gonna face some resistance into leaning into your sisters, into trusting into a group of women. So my recommendation is that we face these uncomfortable places with a lot of love and kindness, and we open up spaces where we can be truthful and talk to our sisters about these things. I actually felt, and this is the last thing I'm going to share because I don't want this video to be so long, but I want to share that I also, and I spoke about this in my Instagram stories, I see my daughter having jealousy around other kids, and I see it as completely normal. But when jealousy arises in me or in other grown-up women, we have this tendency to be like very obsessively negative around that. And I want to say that it's actually unrealistic if you want to live like a true intimacy with other women, that you don't feel jealousy, because we are like flowers. And actually, now that I'm taking this plant medicine course, I'm understanding that even plants feel jealous. If you go and pick up a rose from a bush, probably the other roses are communicating like, wow, like, why wasn't I picked? And this is so beautiful because we women, we go through these things, but instead of sharing them, we suppress them, and we go into this trance of unworthiness. And this probably comes from your lineage, that instead of like voicing that out or recognizing that as something beautiful, like as if you would observe a kid that is jealous because the other kid has a toy or a dress that she likes better, and you see that with kindness, and you understand it, and you want to explore that with the kid, I suggest we do the same as well, that we learn to parent ourselves. You don't need to have kids to do this work. You don't need to be wanting to have kids to do this work. You are in your temple, and this is your ability to look into the things that you really want to see, because you are ready to move forward. You are ready to attract powerful relationships that are going to skyrocket you to the places that you want to be. But usually when we have like very unconscious behaviors or ways to perceive other people, we are repelling that on a daily basis. So the mother wound runs deep in our society, and what we're doing is healing that society one step, one hug at a time. I think I want to end up this video also saying that as a mother also, I love what this doctor said, and I was mentioning him. He said the role of a mother is to nurture, protect, empower, and initiate. I loved reading this because I felt, and even I felt that recently, that I was around a group of male and female, but majority were male, and I perceived some of them talking about like talking to a specific human being that was going through his own process of healing, and this male said, do you want to be nurtured or do you want to be empowered by the male? And that really caused me like a lot of conflict inside, because I was like, oh, here we go again with the narrative that the women does not empower. And that is, for me, the nucleus of this work, is to understand that a lot of females have been cut off from the role of empowering and initiating, first and foremost, themselves, and then everyone around them that they touch. This is very important for parenting, of course, because we get to observe the ways that we keep the narrative with our children, and then the ways that we can switch that into a narrative that actually is supporting us and is supporting our children. But it's actually good for everyone to understand that mothers are here to initiate. And these are the words also of Mary Magdalene. You know, Mary Magdalene was initiating Jesus. Whether you believe this or not, I'm just sharing my own personal belief, but she initiated Jesus. And in a way, this runs so deep because she was totally put into the whore label box, and let's not talk about her. So this pattern runs so deep through our religious paradigm that the male is the priest and the woman is the whore. Or you have to be like the image of Mary, which I honestly don't even believe that she was just the perfect mother, in the sense of like she's just there nurturing and, you know, protecting. Mother Mary actually was an active ISIS tribe member, functioning and performing a lot of rituals that were empowering and initiating. And this is what actually had me understanding that yes, I wanted to be a mother, because I'm here to empower and initiate myself and then my children. Not only mine, the children of this world. So there's so much depth to this work, and this video is pretty long, but I wanted to touch that with you so that you can understand a little bit more of how deep this is running through your life, and you might not know it. And this is just a beautiful way to acknowledge and move through the patterns, attract the things that you want, and liberate yourself from these dogmas, and just create this new world that we're all here doing. I love you. For all women, if you're feeling like this resonates, I'm gonna share this in April, because I'm traveling back to Panama in May, and I won't be doing any online offerings that month. Self-care is so important. If you have any questions, contact me. I love you so much. May your day be blessed with love.